My father Ross was diagnosed with motor neurone disease in the early 2000s, and a friend of his from work searched the world to find some support for him and anyone that knew anything about what was going on with motor neurone disease. Unfortunately, a lot didn't come out of that, but there was a name, Professor Perry Bartlett, had just started up the Queensland Brain Institute in Brisbane at the University of Queensland. So we quickly got in contact with Perry and came across and visited him, and that was our first contact with QBI. Well, we met Perry. Dad was in a wheelchair at that time, so we brought him out, met Perry. He was very impressed with the work in those very early days that he was doing, and on the spot he supported Perry with a donation to buy some equipment. So Perry always said he was the first donor for QBI, and we both believed jointly that in the future there could be a lot of good come of this, all the different research and work QBI was doing. So we decided then and there that we would support them. Dad passed away unfortunately in early 2005, but just prior to that Perry started up the Ross Maclean Fellowship for research into motor neurone disease. So initially I was involved with that. Later on I was asked to join the research board and joined that, and it's been a long story over those years, nearly 15 years now, that I've been involved to some degree with QBI, and I see what's going on and the great work behind the scenes and the discoveries that are being made. Perry said to me very early on, and I know Pankaj in his role as the current director, both have this belief that very fundamental basic science leads to discoveries, and I think that's been shown up with the ultrasound work for dementia, that it was an item which was going to be used for something completely different, and it's worked that way. So I really stand by and believe their theories on how the discoveries come about. I remember walking through the lab one day and a team of young scientists were around a microscope and they were all high-fiving each other, and it was a wonderful day, and I went up and said, "What's happened?" And they said, "We've made a discovery," and it was fantastic to see that. My motivation has changed. I've seen the broad spectrum of work done at QBI, where initially we came in with one particular disease. Now our range has spread, and I've seen the different work that goes on. Perry Bartlett as the initial director, and both Pankaj following up now as the new director, have instilled into me that basic research is where the discoveries come from, and I very much agree and support that concept completely. Over many years Perry has worked with me and on the board at QBI, and I've seen him often talk about the fundamental research and the long-term benefits that it achieves. I think his trial on his drug he has coming up next year has been 20 years in the making, and that started from a very basic discovery that he had. So that shows to me the very long-term benefits. A lot of very fundamental research is required to reach the long-term goals that's needed for people with terrible diseases, and it's the very fundamental research like this that leads to some of these discoveries. So for that reason we decided to support this fund. That's a very, very hard thing to ask people to donate to Blue Sky, yet that is what is needed to get these off the ground.